Alright, hello everyone. Sorry about the super long delay. I don't believe I ever sent my aunt this video. I think I made numerous different, you know, takes, I guess you could say, on this video. I've made the video several times and some of them got deleted, some of them got lost. One of them I believe just never got sent. I don't know why, but this is one that I am going to send. I just remembered it, and I was making a video also on lights, and then I remembered this one, which I was supposed to make, I think, a year ago or something. She said she was going to pick some of this stuff up. Maybe she still has it. Hopefully she didn't get rid of it. It's actually a good multi-purpose lubricant. It's not just good for lights. I know we have a lot of background noise in here, and we're actually in a untreated room with a decent amount of reverb, so hopefully the sound isn't too horrible. But we're going to be showing proper flashlight cleaning and lubrication. It's a maintenance video on flashlights. Doesn't matter what light you have, they all have the same maintenance things. So let's get into it. Actually, you know what? Should have taken this one out first. I'll dump the cells there. Whoop! Love this light. One of my favorites. Waterproof inside and out. Significantly more durable than other lights. Fully potted electronics. User replaceable interchangeable components like the 1-inch thick solid acrylic optical lens, and everything about it. The list goes on, and it's a special thing. 100% American made with 100% American source materials and built with American tools. And heck, even the batteries are American made. This isn't the company that makes the light, but they do make some good lights. I have some of their lights too. Anyway, enough rambling. Show you how to clean this thing. So I guess I should explain the importance of this first. So there's two different big reasons why you do this. Sure, it makes it smoother, it makes it feel nicer, which in this particular version of this light with the tail cap switch that I'm using for this one, it's a twisty thing for the modes, so it's kind of nice to have it smooth, but it's not necessary. The other version I have of this, it doesn't have the twisty, it's just the momentary, it's a non-latching rotary tail cap switch. This one is something a little different. They're modular lights, so you customize it to whatever. You basically turn the light into whatever you want it to be, kind of like Legos. But the two reasons why you do this, besides the fact that it makes it really smooth and, it's super satisfying when things are really smooth, is the fact that if there's any dirt, sand, whatever, grime, hair, anything like that in the O-ring seals, it can allow water to get into the light. Now, since this light is waterproof inside and out, the worst case scenario, I lose the batteries, which they're disposable anyway, but with every other light out there, and I mean every other light from every other brand, if water gets in, your flashlight gets destroyed. So this is like the one exception, although these lights generally have a starting price of $230 US. Yes, starting price, you heard that correctly. Now, for those of you that didn't have a heart attack and are still with us, your heart's still beating, we'll go on with the show here. Most lights are not waterproof on the inside, so it's very important to keep those seals clean. The other reason why you keep them clean is it minimizes wear on the O-ring seals. Sure, it's nice knowing that with this one, the light itself is waterproof, but at some point, the batteries will go out. And that kind of suck if you were in a power outage in a building like I was, and now it didn't happen with this light. I was using a different light at the time, but it really sucked if the batteries did go out in a warehouse type setting where it's pitch black and you can't even see halfway down the aisle. So, just keep them clean and keep them lubricated. There shouldn't be any form of debris on the O-ring seals. Now, to clean these lights, I know it's not glamorous. I use toilet paper. The reason why I like toilet paper more than Kleenex is it's a little thinner. Well, this is pretty thick toilet paper, but it's still thinner than like a paper towel or something. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my thumbnail, and I'm going to put it in here, and I'm going to put my thumbnail in the threads of the light, and I'm going to twist it. And as I twist this light clockwise, what's going to happen is my thumbnail is going to slowly make its way down till it hits that O-ring seal. And I like kind of angling my nail slightly so that it goes up against both walls of the inside of the thread. And as I twist, I'll clean all the threads. Now, in some cases, whoa, I see this light hasn't been cleaned in a little while. This is my work light, so I cleaned off most of the outside, but this thing was covered in concrete dust and forklift grease and all sorts of really nasty things, sawdust, miscellaneous dust and debris from different things. It's, it's very well used, very well loved. Basically, you keep repeating the process until there's no, none of that. You don't want to see that. You want this thing to be clean. So I'm going to do that. Just keep doing the same thing. And work my way down each and every thread till I hit that O-ring seal. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to wipe the O-ring seal. Now be very gentle, because you don't want to leave all these little fuzzy things from the toilet paper all over this, because then you just made it dirty all over again. So I'm going to get off all that lubrication. And I'm going to do my best to get all the little fuzzy things that I left on here. Now these threads are really nice, beautifully machined threads, which for light with a starting price of around $230, you'd kind of expect that. But some lights have some pretty rough threads, and those kind of suck to clean because you leave fuzzy things all over the place, because they just tear the paper. But this one doesn't. Now it's nice and clean, as you can see. Got all those fuzzy things off. Now what I'm going to do, stupid me, I totally forgot to get the Q-tip. We're actually going to clean the inside of the tail cap switch. So let me get the Q-tip and I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Whoop, sorry about that. I really do like these. The other nice thing, the batteries these use, they never corrode. They hold 90% of their charge after being stored for 10 years. They work in temperature extremes that no other battery works in. They have 2 times more voltage than an alkaline. They have way more power behind them. Just love these batteries too. I don't know. Every time there's just something special about these lights. I don't know. Anyone that, well, if you have one of these, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, let me get this out of the way so you can see a little better. Whoop, and not tip that because there's dust all over the place. It's just going to stick to that. So try not to let anything touch that while it's cleaned. What I'm going to do, I'm going to get this really disgusting Q-tip now. And counterclockwise, I'm going to put it all the way down in there. Rotate it counterclockwise and slowly move it out. And I'm going to keep doing that until this is clean. Sorry about the background noise. And just going to keep doing that till it's spotless. Once it is, you see we got a little bit of concrete dust left on this thing. Like I said, this light has been kind of my primary work light, so it had all sorts of really gross stuff. And once I lubricate it, I'm going to give it a bath. Which, if your light isn't waterproof, I wouldn't recommend doing that. This one is. So it's not going to be an issue. Also, make sure you don't leave any lints behind. I see I left a little bit of a lint. These Q-tips can be kind of annoying with that. You do tend to leave things. It'll get stuck in the spring or whatever, and it'll kind of pull a little out, or maybe you got one that was kind of fluffed up to begin with. Looks pretty clean. Ideally, use compressed air. Unfortunately, my compressed air can ran out, but that's a great way to remove lints without adding other lints. I don't think anything else is left in there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this Frog Lube CLP. This is, whoop, losing the batteries again. I'll just put those there. This is a mint-scented gun lubricant and is also American-made. And it actually smells exactly like mint, smells delicious, and it is non-toxic, although I wouldn't recommend eating it, but, it's kind of an interesting thing. There is no non-scented version of this for whatever strange reason, so it's going to be mint-scented. Great all-purpose lubricant. It is also safe for plastics, which this light isn't plastic, but if you do have a light that has some plastic on the inside, it won't harm it. Or if you have some left over on your fingers and you accidentally touch something real quick that is plastic, you won't harm it. So Nice thing to know. Not all plastics get affected by lubricants, but some just fall apart. So we're going to put this on there. I like, usually you don't put too much on, but you want to give a good, decent coating. This one, I put a little more on than others. I'm going to put it not only on the threads, but I'm also going to put it on that O-ring seal. Give it a good coat, and I'm going to try to get this extra stuff off my finger. Try to flatten it out somewhat, otherwise when you screw it on, it's just going to push some of that lubricant down away from where you want it. Kind of hard to do this. I got my arm stretched out pretty far away from my face, so normally it wouldn't be that sloppy, but you get the idea. Whoop, sorry about that. Try to get the excess lubricant off your fingers. This is kind of a pain to get off, but do your best to wipe it down. You can wash your hands later because we're going to do this whole process again on the other side of this light. What I like doing to get any debris that's on this rim here on the tail cap switch, because this, of course, isn't covered by anything, I like to get my finger that's clean, of course, slowly push it out as I rotate this. It kind of helps get any debris that's on there off. If there's any lubricant on this part, I like very carefully wiping it down. Again, make sure you don't get the fuzzy things on there. Now that's off. Screw it back in. It's going to be insanely smooth, super quiet. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my thumbnail again and get this excess lubricant out. Because it just kind of, it doesn't affect anything. It just kind of looks weird and you don't want it on your clothes anyway. So, and get all that off. As you can see, a very messy process. Usually it's not this messy, but this particular light has been used and carried quite a bit in a very dirty environment. So this thing's disgusting. Usually my lights aren't quite this gross, but this one's the exception. I've been carrying this one at work every single day for either a year or very, very close to a year. Obviously, this isn't my first time cleaning it in all that time, but it's been a little while. Usually I don't wait that long. It's just slipped my mind for whatever reason. Go to work, come home, go to bed, go to work, come home, go to bed, and the same stupid cycle over and over. There we go. Now it's spotless, has kind of a nice shine. I'll wipe that down a little more thoroughly later. Now we're just going to do the exact same thing in the front, which, oh boy, that's got like 2 million threads on it. Put my fingernail in the threads, rotate it clockwise. It's going to go down each and every one of the threads. I like angling my fingernail to get each side of the threads. You're going to see a lot of that old lubricant start to come right out of the threads. See, we got my bird chiming in. And get all this gunk off. Had to get some new toilet paper pretty soon because this one's looking kind of nasty now. I'm going to fold it. Very gently do this part. Once again, you don't want to get all the fluff on this. I guess in this case, since this particular light is also waterproof on the inside, you could use a damp rag if you really needed to. But I would do that in any other light, because no other light, to my knowledge, is waterproof on the inside. In some cases, you might have to do that with your finger if your fingers are clean. Help get the fluff off. That looks pretty decent. Now we're going to do the same thing. This one's a tiny bit trickier because it has to go a little deeper, but we're going to do our best to get all that out. Nice thing is, since it does have that really nice O-ring seal, this one actually has a way thicker, more heavy-duty one than most lights. Nothing really gets past that. It's just more, the grease over time gets a little dirty here, but all the foreign, debris doesn't get past that seal. So there's not going to be any concrete dust on the inside of this, but sorry, I need to pull it over to me so I can actually see what I'm doing. This one's a little harder to see. Once again, whoop, sorry, bumping into everything. Use my finger to get anything off, kind of pulling outward in this case to get anything off from this ridge here. Put some more of this stuff on. Smells incredible, but for those of you that don't like the mint smell, once you close up your light, you won't smell it anymore. It's just whenever you open it, it'll smell minty fresh. So some people will like that, some won't. Any high quality lubricant's fine, but WD-40 isn't really thick enough for something like this. You need a thick grease-like lubricant, not a liquid. We're going to coat the O-ring seal and coat the threads. That might have been a little bit too much, but it'll be fine. I haven't had any issues with this before. Usually you give it a light coating, but I haven't had any issues with giving it a pretty thick coating of this stuff. And since I use this particular light all the time at work, I don't mind putting a little extra on this. Just don't have globs of it to the point where it's in the battery compartment, because then it's going to be kind of a pain to clean. Like my fingers, which at the moment are definitely a pain to clean. There you go. Insanely smooth. Super quiet. I like to run them back and forth a few times. It'll work any additional lubricant out, and then what we're going to do, unscrew it till it's right at that O-ring seal. Do the same thing with my fingernail. Get any extra lubricant off. Now with this light, I do have a lot of dust and stuff in here, so I'm actually going to give this thing a bath. I'm going to rinse it off in the sink. Now, this does unscrew as well, but that's not something that really gets dirty, so you don't need to clean that part often at all, if ever, really. As long as you don't move it, it'll be fine. Sorry, I got the bird flying around my head. And there you go. So I'm going to put the batteries in. I'm going to rinse this thing under the sink, wipe it down real good to get that extra lubricant off. It gave it kind of a shine, which some people might like. But I don't want anything on there. I get off whatever's left of the concrete dust, which you could kind of see. Any light color part on this light is actually the concrete dust and sawdust and whatever else has gotten onto this. Put the batteries back in. I should have done that. First one. Second one. And there we go. Just do it whenever they start to get dirty. Ideally not that dirty. That was kind of the one-time exception, but check them periodically and just take out the old lubricant and put on some new stuff. And this tub I've had for a long time now, and I've lubricated probably, I don't know how many dozens of times with this, but it's not even halfway empty yet, so it lasts for a while.